Hi everyone, Old Man Tech here with another model building video for you. Trying my luck at model aircraft right now, getting away from the cars for just a little bit. I got this P-61 Black Widow kit from my granddaughter for Christmas, and I thought it'd only right that I put her together. So we'll go through some steps on what I had to do to build it and any issues I had that maybe help somebody in the long run here. So let's move on with the build. You started out here with basically page number 1, where you're putting all the seats together and getting the parts ready to put the fuselage together. I skipped a little bit ahead on page 2 to put these side panels in here on the inside of the fuselage, these control panels, and we're going to detail them and paint different colors, this or that, put some decals on, and I got these parts here ready to go. We're just going to put them in the dryer and let them flash out, and then I can go ahead and detail some of this, and then we'll see what it looks like at the next stage of the parts laid out. I've done some detailing on the inside, as you can see on the interior there, and other parts underneath the front landing gear. There's no rhyme or reason to the colors I used and where I put the colors. I couldn't find any YouTube videos of P-61s that showed the inside, or they were mostly black and white, so it's pretty hard to tell what color anything was. I just tried to create some contrast between everything. I got the upper gun turret parts laid out here and painted, and I got the wings all put together, the back stabilizer, the drop tank, flaps, and the interiors. And after completing all of this, I realized a fatal mistake. The interior, I pretty much went with the color mix that they had for the interior, but I'm thinking I want to do an olive drab, which probably isn't too much different than this, probably a little darker, to give the plane a little more contrast between the interior and the exterior. Now in doing so, going with the A model, and there's a gray colored on the bottom. So of course I didn't think of that ahead of time, so these will all have to be painted gray. The upside is I've got primer on all these parts. On these, if you can hear that, I put lead pellets inside of all of these to bring weight down on the front end, and when I get putting the nose cone on later, I'll be stuffing that with lead too, because I've seen some videos where some guys had some problems of it wanting to sit on its landing gear, on the front landing gear that wants to tip back, so I'm going to try and get as much weight up front as I can. Over here I'm working on the pylons. As you go by the instructions here, they want you to go ahead and put the landing gear on. You pretty much have to, the way they have the kit designed out, to where this landing gear is supposed to go into these grooves and pockets, and then you glue the whole thing together. Well, what I have a problem with of this is, knowing me, if I go ahead and put these landing gears in while I'm turning it over and painting the bottom and everything else, eventually I'm going to be breaking these off. So I'm trying to come up with a solution to that, and what I think I have found is I took a Dremel with a real small round gouging tip on it, and I wallered out the back side of these grooves. You can see them, the back side of these grooves that the landing gear goes in. So, and on the landing gear, I filed an angle on the bottom here, and I took the back side out of it on this other side over here, so that when I put it together, I don't have to have that landing gear on there. I can just take this, put it in there, bring it over, and push it into place. That way I don't have to worry about breaking them off while I'm building the rest of the plane. And when I get to the front landing gear, I'm not going to have it so it's swiveled. They want you to put that together first. Well, there again, that's something else that's going to break off. So I'm just going to glue that in solid facing forward when I'm done. So hopefully this tip will help somebody that may run into that dilemma also, and that's my way of overcoming it. Here we have the right boom assembled. All the seams have been taken down and evened out, sanded. Got that ready to go. The left boom, of course, you have to have the engine put together before you can put it together on both halves. And I've got the other engine done for the other side. The fuselage is put together. I've got a few places where I need to put some filler in so it looks a little more seamless. Not so much like two pieces that were put together. So we'll get that done. That's going to be kind of a booger to tape this off because this is already painted. So I guess I'll just have to tape it all off and repaint the guns if I have to, and to get this body sprayed on there. So, of course, on the engine, then the spinner back will go on the shaft. If I can find the hole, there it is. And ta-da! We'll be back. See, I've got the model put together now. What I did to get ready for it, to block off these areas, of course, I used foam. I just had a big block of foam. I got that idea from somebody else too. I actually tried tape, and I couldn't get tape to stick on any of this stuff. Plus, I had to take out the overhead lights on the seats for the personnel because I couldn't, block it all off properly. So basically, I took the foam and I hollowed it out for the chairs and stuff that are sitting in there, and then I set that on the front. I blocked off the engines. Of course, you spend a lot of time detailing the engine. You don't want to get spray paint on them. And then on the top here where that part is revealed, that's blocked off. And I did the same on the back and on the bottom. I'll be putting the landing gear on last of all. And of course the canopy and the other windows. Now, I did think about trying to tape off the canopy, and as you can see, the tape don't stick where the crap on anything, so that wouldn't have worked out very good. So I ended up with the foam as being the best option. And if I'd thought ahead, I would have made this top turret so it wouldn't turn. I would just glued it back on top when I was done because that was already painted. So as you see, I got that blocked off, and then you have to turn it. You have to turn it to paint the other areas of the top. So that was kind of a pain in the butt. But that's where we are now. We're getting ready for paint. I've got a container over here with some Dawn soap and some little rags. I'm going to very carefully wipe down the whole model with soap and then chase it with some clean water and then dry it off with a hair dryer and blow it off, and we'll get ready for paint then. As you can see, I got places where I did some filler. There were some, of course, cracks where the seams didn't come together properly. The nose cone, it actually looked really good before I glued it or tried to glue it. And it looked like it was going to fit, but it's kind of hard to tell with that black, I guess. So by the time I got it glued on there, I had to, of course, fill it in a little bit. So that's where we're at now, and we'll see if we can get some paint on her. At this point, I thought I better break the camera out, take a pause to my building to show you where I'm at before I get too far ahead. But as you can see, I got it painted. I got the decals on it. see down the side here. That was about a day's job putting all that little words and everything else on all these little places. And I went with black on the gun turret because that's kind of what they suggested in the color scheme. And I got the props painted. I have to put the decals on it yet, but I went with black on that to give a little contrast and add a little more black to it to kind of go with the gun turret. And I've still got the engine covered here and the foam in because I plan on painting some gray, light gray on the bottom. And you can see I still got my foam and everything still in. Boy, am I glad I didn't put the landing gear on, because like I mentioned, I would have snapped it all off by now, and all the, you know, fooling around and you drag your hand across it and tear the landing gear off. So I'm glad I went that route on that. There's a few gaps here and there. You can see some places where I didn't get enough putty in, but a lot of that's inherent to the old, you know, kit and so forth. The old moldings. We're going to keep at her here. We got more to do. I've got to paint the drop tanks, you know, gray like the bottom of it. And I actually started on my little men. Ain't he cute? Got his faces and his hands painted. And I still got the canopy to tape off, which will be a pain in the butt, I'm sure. And we'll go from there. Like any other build, think ahead, you know, read your instructions, but think ahead, you know, is this going to work out if I follow these instructions? Which is why I didn't put the landing gear on. Gun turret, it is functional. I mean, it doesn't shoot, but it'll turn. And, you know, in instructions too, they say don't glue on the propellers. You know, why? It's just going to be a display. You know, it's not like I'm 8 years old. I'm going to put the propellers on and then spin them real fast and go, vroom, 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 you know, so I don't see much point in that. So, like I say, read the instructions and decide how you want it to end up, and don't worry about going against what they suggest. That's just like in any other build. So, do your own thing, by golly. Here we are at the final stages of the build. Got the tires, got the props done, and little decals on them, and the tips painted. Landing gear is ready to go on last. I got the landing gear doors. I got them marked so I don't get confused on where they all go, left and right. And we've got the ailerons and the flaps painted. Olive green on the top and a gray on the bottom. And got the little guys here. I haven't finished painting them yet. And the canopies. I tried taping them up and cutting them out, and I found that to be more problem for me than it was to hand paint them. So I hand painted these on here, and I'm pretty sure it looks like it, but it is what it is. I almost would rather have all my teeth pulled than to paint another canopy frame. Almost. And that's where we are on those parts ready to go on. There's the plane done. Take that off of there. Got the engine covers on here. That'll come off to reveal a little detail there. You can see that. There's the bottom, painted gray. So, we are getting there, everyone. Slow but sure. We'll be back probably with the reveal. Would probably be the next step. We'll see you later. Alright, here we are at the finish line. As you can see, we've got the maintenance personnel working on the P-61. Cute little guys. Get them out of the way. The covers off to the side here. And we'll show you the rest of the plane. Got it detailed out. I got a little bit of silver blotted onto the leading edge of the wings to kind of show a little bit of wear and tear. Same way on the cowling here. And got some soot from the exhaust from the engines across there. Flip it over. See the bottom. Gray. The exposed weaponry here on the side. Now, I would say that it was a waste of time for me to put lead pellets in these drop tanks, because most of the weight is kind of right here anyway. I think I would have, if I had to do it all over again, I would have left the weights out of here and just made sure I filled the nose with the weights, because I still had to use that support to keep it sitting on the front of its landing gear. And there's the back. Get my fat hand out of the way. There's the back view of it underneath. And we'll just set her down there, let you see that view of it. Kind of hard to spin this around. You don't want to break off your, it's pretty fragile landing gear and stuff on them. So you really got to be careful how you move it around. And there she is. It wasn't too bad to build. Like I say, it was my first aircraft, but I think it turned out okay. So I hope this build was able to help somebody. And thank you for watching. Old Man Tech out.